on KBC.
Chini ya uongozi wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali kuu imewekeza kwenye miradi tofauti ya maendeleo katika kaunti mbalimbali ambayo imeleta manufaa mengi kwa wakazi wa mashinani. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254,
in our different capacities, we must all work closely to tackle any challenges standing in the way of a better Kenya for our people.
Kabla port ijagunduliwa vizuri, ijaanza vizuri, kazi ilikuwa nadra, lakini venye port ilikuwa revived, venye the president alirevive port, tukaanza kuona opportunities.
Kifika Aero Junction tulikuwa na hapo na maburutano ya barabara, na tunaona kama saa hizi lami iko kabisa mpaka nje.
Father's house to the land I will show you. God, give me the strength to do what I must.
Abraham, do not harm your child. For now I know that you fear God, seeing that you've not withheld your son.
Chini ya uongozi wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali kuu imewekeza kwenye miradi tofauti ya maendeleo katika kaunti mbalimbali ambayo imeleta manufaa mengi kwa wakazi wa mashinani. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254,
in our different capacities, we must all work closely to tackle any challenges standing in the way of a better Kenya for our people.
Kabla port ijagunduliwa vizuri, ijaanza vizuri, kazi ilikuwa nadra, lakini venye port ilikuwa revived, venye the president alirevive port, tukaanza kuona opportunities.
Kifika Aero Junction tulikuwa na hapo na maburutano ya barabara, na tunaona kama saa hizi lami iko kabisa mpaka nje.
Aren't you too busy trying to impress His Majesty?
Don't make fun of me. His Majesty is so busy. I'd never bother him if he didn't want me to be there.
Who will not follow his wise edicts?
You again.
Relax. I'm not here looking for you.
You're not looking for me? Every time you see Thea, you're running away from him. Now you even dare to look for me in his study?
Stay right there! Stop right where you are!
Lady Tianxi, as a supervisor, you dared to escape with a vessel. Hand him to me, and I will spare your life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless.
You're fine.
灯芯燃尽，篝火停，1万回响，炉火唤醒。
Or you heard the new rumor I bought a new car?
Tito, please give us a break. You're talking about this car like forever. Doesn't it even get old?
Maya, at the dog house, we did not see any kettle.
A dog house is called a kennel.
Oh, I think it's very much ma'alim. So we noticed the
kennel. Kennel.
Mwalimu, I was just been wondering what is the difference between petrol and moutata?
Sorry?
Moutata.
You are too angry, son. You should watch yourself lest you get an ulcers of the stomach or even worse.
Atito, unless you want to join them, let this be the last time I'm telling you to zip it!
I've heard up there the streets are made of gold.
That time again where we get to meet, have fun, and learn.
I still find a way to have time for baking. I just find that little time to figure out more recipes.
We will be reading from the book The Steely Turtle. Now I'm going to teach you how to paint with foil.
Where float.
I'm ever going to have a baby.
The doctor is ready to see you. Please follow me.
Do you maintain such a body?
Jewish detox. Me imagine it has worked for me.
Definitely need that kind of action.
You might just decide to marry you and you live happily ever after. Everything I have is by me and me alone.
My own business.
This one is a magnet for abusers.
It is the 23rd day of the 7th month, that is July 2021. Good afternoon and welcome to KBC Lunchtime News. It is the commencement of the weekend and of course it is also the commencement of the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. The 4th time they are actually being held there. And of course we have Team Kenya, and all we can say is go Team Kenya. My name is Njue, and Lucy Mwaura will be handling the sign language interpretation in this bulletin. We have a lot in store, both local, international business, and not forgetting sports. Kindly be part of this conversation at KBC Channel 1 at Njue. Remember, we are also live on all our social media platforms. We begin in Kiambu County. Residents of KAHAWA Sukari in Ruiru, Kiambu County are up in arms over what they claim as a scheme by a private developer to grab a public parking plot. According to officials of KAHAWA Sukari Welfare Association, the developer has already fenced off the prime plot and started undertaking excavation works with the alleged intention of putting up a high-rise building.
Under the umbrella of KAHAWA Sukari Residents and Plot Owners Welfare Association, the residents who joined Kiambu County officials in stopping the construction insisted the land in question is a Matatu terminal serving Mwihoko. The residents claimed they have been using the site for transport businesses and allowing it to be grabbed will greatly impede their operations, and they have no alternative meeting point.
Sasa tuliamuka asubuhi tukakuta hakuna mahali pa kubebea abiria na abiria wanateseka sana, tunateseka sana sisi kama madereva. Sasa tunaomba tuonyeshwe mahali pa kufanyia kazi kwa sababu sisi tuko na light.
Magari za watu huku, alafu asubuhi tunapata zimetolewa, zimewekwa kwa barabara, kumechimbwa mashimo, kumefensiwa. Wakati tunakuja asubuhi kufanya kazi, tunapata kumesigirwa kila mahali.
It was set aside in the year 1995, and if you look behind me,
The county has even invested in building a toilet, a public toilet. That means the county would not have built in a private space a toilet.
Joining residents George Mutota, a building and construction inspector Kiambu County, regretted that the alleged grabber was developing the land without the requisite approval documents. In a quick rejoinder, Newton Kariuki, the manager representative from the accused developer, insisted that the land belongs to the accused and had all the documents to prove their case.
So once he gets all the approvals, and also you have to apply for inspection so that anytime he wants to develop, it will be coming for inspection. Reason why he stopped the work because he doesn't comply. He doesn't have the approved drawings on the site, even the signboard.
Hii shamba si ya serikali, ni ya mtu binafsi na hakuna kitu hatuna ya hii shamba. Tuko na kila kitu, title deed ndio hii na tuko na mahali zile risiti zote tunalipagia hata kwa county. Suleiman Yeri, Lunchtime News.
The government has partnered with development agencies to set up 9 COVID-19 testing facilities in all border points to tame the spread of the virus. Speaking in Maika-Sufti border in Mandera County, the Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Rashid Aman, says surveillance and screening at the entry points will help the country prevent those who might have contracted the virus.
A delegation from the Ministry of Health, development partners and diplomats were in Mandera County to assess measures that have been put in place for COVID-19 surveillance. The delegation toured Maika-Sufti border point for first-hand information on what the government was doing in policing its borders. The Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Rashid Aman, who was leading the team, said 9 testing facilities will be up and running at the border points in order to combat the spread of coronavirus.
We entered into discussions with Trademark. We developed a proposal in the Ministry of Health for Trademark through EU funding to support us to set up at least 9 laboratories for testing along the northern corridor, but also around the borders of the borders that we have with countries, neighboring countries.
The Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD Executive Secretary Dr. Wokne Gebeyeho, who was part of the delegation, said they will continue helping partner states in the fight against the pandemic.
People of the region has integrated here through health. So the health integration is less conflict, less controversial, less political. So really this will be an achievable.
We are not only the ministry but also IGAD has really come forward to help us with consumables of COVID-19, whether it's PPEs and other things.
With Area Governor Ali Roba lamented on the influx of Ethiopians and Somalian nationals seeking healthcare services in Mandera County, straining the available facilities.
When we are responding to COVID-19, the testing facility is open for the cross-border communities, and anytime a challenge comes, we deal with that. Ministry has supported us quite well. The facility and the mess is all 100% functional, as you've seen today. From the time we've started, it's working extremely well, serving the population across the border.
The second tractor has a plow and a trailer to take care.
Now, the death toll from Saturday's night petrol tanker explosion at Malanga in Siaya County has risen to 20 after one more person succumbed to severe burns. Siaya County Health CEC Dismas Wakla said the victim, who had sustained more than 70% burns, died at the Siaya County Referral Hospital where he was undergoing treatment.
A somber mood continued to engulf GEM as families of the victims of the Malanga petrol tanker explosion gather at the Siaya Referral Hospital hoping to see their loved ones. Sadly, one of the victims who has been receiving treatment at the facility succumbed to the burns, taking the death toll from the incident to 20. Siaya County Executive Committee member for Health, Dismas Wakla, who confirmed the death, said the latest victim had sustained more than 70% burns.
We are working very hard to manage these cases. They are getting the best possible care, and we are optimistic that we will get many of them back home to lead their lives.
The development comes as Siaya Woman Representative Dr. Christine Ombaka made a call to the government to support the local referral hospital to enable it to offer better medical care to the victims.
There are some shortages that we must admit. We still don't have basic equipment that they need. They need heaters because for burn cases, heaters are required.
Purity Museo, Lunchtime News.
Now, more than 3,000 teenage Maasai boys from Kajiado South Sub-County have undergone a special ceremony in preparation for circumcision to enter a new age set referred to as Imer Iponye in the community. The boys aged between 9 and 15 years were taken through intense cultural training at Rombo Loitoktok in a colorful Maasai ceremony.
The ceremony, which is conducted once every 10 to 15 years, entails cultural teachings on integrity and responsibility. During the ceremony, the boys stay outdoors day and night for 3 days as a symbol of tolerance to hardship and feed only on traditional foods.
Anza safari ya kulelea kizazi kingine, vijana ambao wao ndio wataweza kuwapitisha katika mila zote za Kimaasai, na watoto hawa siku ya leo wanaitwa Imeibonyi.
Elite community members participating in the event stated that it was possible to embrace formal education and preserve meaningful culture that bonds communities.
As a community, we are able to maintain our culture and at the same time trying to have a modern way of living by putting also education as a pillar in our society.
Boys will undergo the cut in hospital during the end of this year's holiday.
And students of Machakos Teachers College have taken to the streets to protest the setting up of a new building near the institution. The students want the structure brought down on security grounds.
Learning at the Machakos Teachers College was paralyzed for the better part of Thursday after students took to the streets protesting against a new building coming up near the college.
La maneno iko mnasema hamtaki container, si ndio? Sasa mimi nawaambia hivi. Watoe ama tutoe? Mimi nawaambia hivi. Mutulie.
The area chief, who tried to calm the aggrieved students in vain, promised to do everything in his power and ensure the business is closed. The school leadership says the car wash business established by an unknown people was posing a security threat to the institution.
For us as a college, we see this as a potential threat for insecurity to this college.
The students have given the business owner 2 weeks to close down the business or else bring it down themselves.
It was asked to surrender this part of the land, of which the college did. Until recently, there's been no structures along this side of the road.
Purity Museo, Lunchtime News.
Moving on, Muranga Water and Sanitation Company MUWASCO has partnered with a charitable organization to construct a 300,000-litre water tank at Kiamuti Forest to supply water to more than 30,000 residents drawn from parts of Muranga East Sub-County. And according to MUWASCO's Public Relations Officer Jacob Mbudia, the construction will be completed by September.
The water tank that will be funded by Can Do Kids organization under the patronage of Engineer Karanja Wamatangi will cost 2.5 million shillings and will bring an end to a perennial water shortage in the area. Speaking on behalf of Wamatangi's team, George Gashuru said the water tank is among others the organization is putting up for the community.
Ningetaka pia
kusema Wamatagi hii si tanki ya kwanza kujenga. Tumejenga matangi zingine kadhaa. Tumejenga katika mashule zetu like 70 of them school tanks, ndio pia watoto pia waweze kupata maji safi.
MUWASCO's Public Relations Officer Jacob Mbuthia says the project will take at most a period of 6 weeks and is set to be complete by the end of September.
We expect that by the end of this project, 30,000 people will have benefited with clean and safe water to drink. After this project, we expect that we shall be able to supply enough water and at least alleviate the populace of this region from diseases attributed to dirty water.
Kabiru Mwangi, a local resident, lauded the move, saying for several years locals have been exposed to diseases by consuming untreated water.
Hivyo tunashukuru hawa kampuni ya MUWASCO na pia Karaja Boro wa Matagi kwa hii nafasi wamejitolea kutujengea tank. Tumekuwa na shida ya maji ambayo ilikuwa inakuja leo kuna maji, kesho hakuna maji, lakini sasa tuna uhakika hii tank ikiwa imemalizika tutakuwa tukipata maji kila siku.
Now, elsewhere, a man from Kenyenya sub-county in Kisii is in police custody for allegedly physically assaulting his 4-year-old son. The toddler sustained severe injuries, including swollen limbs and bone fracture, after being beaten for wetting his bed.
These are some of the things that we are.
Kisii County Commander Francis Kooli says investigations are ongoing to establish if the physical injuries on a 4-year-old boy were inflicted by his father, who is already being held by police. Kooli said they are also awaiting the medical examination report, which will determine the degree of injuries before the suspect is arraigned in court.
I'm telling you, it is shocking to share this, that it's just because of the boy wetting the bed. Only that was the reason that boy went through suffering. Even thorough beating by a father who should actually love the child. So these are some of the things that we are still investigating.
John Kennedy, a clinical officer at Hema Hospital in Kisii County, noted cases of violation of children's rights by parents are common in the area, while children's rights advocates accusing relevant authorities of turning a blind eye to the menace.
There was a bit of negligence, I can say, because the baby was assaulted 3 days ago, like on Sunday, and the baby was brought in the hospital on Wednesday. He had facial lacerations, so we did an X-ray which confirmed fracture and radio and proximal humerus fracture.
Marcin Joki for Lunchtime News.
At about 20 minutes past the hour, we are taking our first quick breather. But before I do that, let me appreciate James Lamez. You're watching live from Kiboswa, Dago, Kokore. Stephen Owino, Wood, Nyager. You're watching live from Murumba, Nyiro, Siaya County. And Christopher Uma, you're also watching from Kisumu. Let's have a break. We'll be back with more business and also sports.
Kulia pole. Unajua mimi tu ukisema tu maneno ya mama, unanikumbusha pia mimi mama yangu.
Unanitolea shilingi 10 ya 20 shillings hadi hii ni ya kunichangia. Una ujinga.
Wanapigana mbele ya watu wakiomboleza.
Wanapigana. Zile ng'ombe zile chinjwa kule. Ni wewe. Si ni mimi. Ni wewe.
Wewe.
Ile ziti ndelenua ni mimi. Si ndio ni wewe. Ni wewe.
Sasa yeye ni ngamia, ukamuita yani na nundu yake ukasema hata si hapa nyuma, nundu yake ni hapa mbele. Hivyo ndio ulisema, ndio akasirika.
Na hata malaika ngabulela akakuja sinjabanya what. Huyu ndio ma what.
On this week's episode of Zurura, we head to Kenya's backyard to visit our very own Wild West. Then it's off to visit one of East Africa's most beautiful tribes who show us a thing or two about looking good. Then buckle up, lean back and get yourself ready to be whisked across one of the best viewpoints Kenya has to offer. That's all coming right up on Zurura, Find Your Adventure, only on KBC.
Or you heard the new rumor I bought a new car.
Atito, please give us a break. You're talking about this car like forever. Doesn't it even get old?
Maya, at the dog house, we did not see any kettle.
A dog house is called a kennel.
Oh, I think it's very much Maalim. So we noticed the
kennel. Kennel.
Mwalimu, I was just been wondering what is the difference between petrol and mautata?
Sorry?
Mautata.
You are too angry, sir. You should watch yourself lest you get an ulcers of the stomach or even worse.
Atito, unless you want to join them, let this be the last time I'm telling you to zip it!
Because the only snowman we need to worry about is the one that you're looking at right here.
Mayor of Miami himself, the Caramel Camacho.
Welcome back and thanks for keeping it KBC. Well, moving on, campaigns for the gubernatorial position have kicked off in Trans Nzoia County as leaders draw a battle line to succeed Governor Patrick Haemba in the year 2022 general polls. Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa has fronted Rift Valley Regional Coordinator George Natembeya, saying he is suited for the county top seat, a move that sets the stage for a political battle between Natembeya and Kiminini Member of Parliament Dr. Chris Wamalwa.
Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa and Kiminini Member of Parliament Dr. Chris Wamalwa have been fighting for political supremacy in Trans Nzoia County. But the duo seem to differ harshly on the 2022 county leadership matrix after CS Wamalwa fronted Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya for the county's top seat.
Wakiona Wamalwa na Natembeya tunatembea hapa wanaanza kutetemeka. Si mnawajua? Sasa waambie sisi tuko tunachapa kazi kwa niaba ya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta. Lakini wakati wa siasa ukifika, sisi tunatoka hapa Kitale, Natembeya huyu ni kijana wetu hapa Kitale, tutarudi hapa nyumbani, tusemezane na nyinyi, tupange mambo yetu, sawa sawa?
But even as Natembeya, who has been visiting the county to inspect national government projects, claims that he remains President Uhuru Kenyatta's foot soldier in the region, the move complicates the county's politics, especially for Dr. Chris Wamalwa, who had earlier declared his candidature for the top seat.
Na sisi tukijipanga, tutembee na ninyi, tutembee na Natembeya, iko shida kweli?
Let him come out and face me. I'm a human being like him. We will ask him questions. He's been a CS for all these years. What value has he added to the people of Trans Nzoia? When he was under justice, that is the time Nancy Baraza lost her position. When he was the minister in charge of water, we've not seen any development of water.
Speaking during a press briefing in Kitale, Dr. Wamalwa accused Devolution CS of using public resources to campaign for Natembeya. Dr. Chris Wamalwa enjoys the support of, among others, Ford Kenya leaders, including Ford Kenya party leader Moses Wetangula and Kwanza Member of Parliament Ferdinand Wanyonyi. Others who have shown interest in the seat included two of Deputy President William Ruto aides, Dr. Abraham Sing'oei and Kakai Bissau, who vied in the last general elections. Ben Chumba, Lunchtime News.
From western to the coast, where the Banjuni community in the coast region has accused the government of excluding them from compensation for internally displaced persons. The community, which was allegedly affected during the shifter war in the 1980s in Lamu County, is outraged by what they say is non-compensation of more than 4,000 members of the community who were evicted during the war.
Speaking at the Simambaye area of Lamu County, the Bajuni community leaders called on government to compensate the more than 4,000 members of the community who were evicted during the shifter war.
Naona wakimbizi wa juzi tu wamefidiwa mambo, lakini sisi wakimbizi wa kwanza nchini Kenya mpaka leo hatujapata lolote.
Ni jambo la maisha la maisha yetu ambao linatugusa sana, na tunaona maonevu makubwa sisi kwamba hatujapata haki za kuweza kurudi asili ya mahali petu ambapo tumezaliwa.
Lamu County Women Representative Rueda Obo, who attended the event, said due to the eviction from their traditional homes, the economy and cultural practices of the Bajuni people has greatly been affected.
Kuna vijiji karibu 12 zilizovunjika. Vijiji ambavyo vimebakia ni Kiunga na Mkokoni, hiyo area. Hizo zingine zote zilivunjika. So watu tuko wengi wa Bajuni, lakini hatuonekani. Hata kwa hisabu hatuonekani.
Following the shifter war, many members of the community fled for safety to various locations, including Malindi and Mombasa. The community now says time has come for them to demand their rights. Ben Chumba, Lunchtime News.
Focus on other matters, where the Kenya Film Classification Board KFCB has come to the rescue of a talented film and music producer whose business was at the brink of collapsing owing to rent debt amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The board will pay rent for Kiptor Rob and support his music recordings on societal ethics grounds.
Watoto wamepata kuingia kama social media, kuna mambo mabaya wanawatch. After kuona hizo mambo, watoto wanataka sasa kuja kuimitate sana watoto wadogo, na once wameona hizo vitu wanataka kuapply. Sasa tukasema the best way to send a message to parents, juu wimbo huwa inafikia watu kwa urahisi kuliko hata kuongea. Tukasema wacha tukuje tu record wimbo, tukakaa chini na familia na as family tukasema lazima hii message ifikie watu.
Kwa ajili ya vile wana muziki na wana sanaa kazi yao iliharibiwa, ikabidi arudi nyumbani anatengenezea nyimbo bedroom. Nikaona watu wanakuja kurekodia pale na familia wako na watoto wachanga, ikaninguza sana. Nikasema hiyo ni kuhatarisha, inaweza leta hata corona kwa nyumba, na mnajua wakati huo around this time last year vile hii maneno ilikuwa.
Quite a noble gesture there indeed. Moving on, Frontier Counties Development Council FCDC CEO Simba Gulaid has called for a new ways in dealing with drought and water challenges in the northeastern counties. Speaking during the inspection tour of a water project at Iftin in Garissa County, Gulaid said that while there has been perennial water challenges in the region, a lot of water has been lost through flooding and the rest flowing out through River Tana. The project, which is an underground water borehole of about 35 meters deep was allocated about $7.5 million and is expected to serve over 30,000 households in Garissa Township.
And we hope without so much, in the not so long future, we are going to find a solution at least to some of the most critical areas.
You know that we usually try to start new initiatives, start new projects, but then we also have to make sure that at one stage these projects are standing on their own feet and we can slowly withdraw.
Field, China has rejected the new phase of a plan designed by the World Health Organization to investigate the origin of the coronavirus. The organization intends to audit laboratories in the area where the virus was first identified in order to further investigate the origin.
More than 4 million people have died worldwide since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, hence mounting pressure on the World Health Organization to investigate and eradicate the virus. In order to help scientists have a better understanding of the virus, the organization has set up phases to look into certain science research institutions in China, where the first case of the virus was reported.
The hypothesis that
Speaking at a press conference, China's Health Minister Zheng said he was extremely surprised by the World Health Organization proposal because it focuses on alleged violations of China's laboratory protocols, saying the country had submitted its own origin tracing recommendations.
You're indeed watching Lunchtime News live from the broadcasting house here in the county of Nairobi, and thank you indeed for keeping me company. I see Ricky Pinto saying thanks for the news update, watching from Muhoroni Shauri Yako, and Amon Kiprono watching live from Kapsiwa in Nandi County. James Lamez, you're watching live from Kiboswa Dago Kokore. Thank you, Dave, for keeping me company. Keep them coming. Moving on, police in RUAI, Njue sub-county in Nairobi, are investigating a case of mistaken identity where a man was beaten to death in a case of mistaken identity. John Wambogu Waithira, who had an accident several months back and was recovering from memory loss, was beaten by a mob that claimed he was a robber.
The day before John met his death through a mob justice who mistook him for a thief, he had gone for a drinking spree with friends at RUAI shopping center. John later headed home few minutes before curfew hours, only to mistakenly land in a different rentals instead of his single room. The deceased mistakenly tried to open the wrong door when the owners bounced on him and beat him to death. James Waithaka, a close friend, described him as a humble guy who had his fair share of alcoholism problems.
John hakuwa mwizi. John ni ulevi na ugonjwa hakuwa na coordinate. Alikuwa kama mnavyosikia, alikuwa ametoka hospitali tu siku kadhaa juzi, yani hajakaa sana kutoka atoke hospitali.
The family led by his brother Michael Maina now wants their kin served.
Na mtu alijileta jana huko RUAI police station, manake tulienda huko akashikwa, ikasemekana awekwe ndani kwa sababu ilisemekana huyo mtu nyumba yake ndio John alikuwa anagonga. Inaweza kunifanya nisikie kama ni kweli ni wakati John atapata haki yake.
Police say they have 2 suspects in their custody who are assisting them with investigations.
A family in Kiambu has a reason to smile after it received a gift of 2 dairy cows from the head of state. President Uhuru Kenyatta had promised the family the present after he met Eunice Wanjiku Mburu and her daughter Esther Nyambura Mburu in an impromptu tour of Gakoe Forest, where the two were on their way to fetch firewood.
Agu alisika hiyo kijana akamwambia kuja hapa hata wewe tutapigwa picha na wewe. Akapatia serikali mmoja hiyo simu akatupiga picha. Akitoka hapo akaniambia, "Mam, Mungu akubariki."
Wamefurahia zaidi, nashukuru wamemwombea maisha marefu. Na hivi vile imesemekana ni kawaida, rais kawaida akikutana na watu wa hawaachi hivyo. Na nashukuru kwamba ameleta msaada. Na pia nashukuru kwamba siku ya leo Hatujakuja hapa Gatundu North kuongea mambo ya pombe. Leo tumekuja mambo ya empowerment, mambo ya kusaidia watu.
Now shift focus to matters business, where Treasury plans to hasten the 2022-2023 budget-making process due to the general elections scheduled for next year. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani has said there is need to speed up the budget-making process to ensure uninterrupted government operations. Yatani says the process will begin in August as opposed to September to ensure the Finance Bill 2022 is enacted before Parliament is dissolved. More details in our corporate briefs.
Under the new arrangements, preparations of the Financial Bill 2022 will begin in August 2021, followed by submission of the document to Parliament before debate in January 2022. So far, the National Treasury has invited state departments and agencies, the private sector and individuals to submit proposals on the 2022-2023 fiscal year budget. Treasury has said proposals submitted must be aligned with efforts to support the economy and weathering the economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. To facilitate timely consultations and adequate consideration, the notice says proposals should be forwarded to Treasury before 30th August 2021. Elsewhere, the Kenya Tea Development Authority Foundation, in partnership with PlayPoint Education East Africa, has launched a digital learning mentorship program targeting at least 200 students.
Of course, solve the problems that they experience in a fun way. You know, it's fun, it's quite practical and fun to do like the projects we're doing here. So they will enjoy learning and they will feel motivated to kuegemea ule upande wa the sciences and mathematics.
It's the high time we started seeing robots in the classroom, in chemistry, biology, or any other subject. Having KTDA spearhead this in the tea-growing regions, it's one of the greatest achievements that we have had so far, and we want to push the journey of ensuring that we reach every household in Kenya to mentor young children in technology.
The Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics program is targeting learners across KTDA's 12 administrative zones to come up with innovative ways of solving problems affecting tea-growing communities. KTDA Foundation head Sudi Matara says the program is designed with a focus on resilience, since it includes social dynamics that prepare the learners with the capacity to respond to rapid changes and adapt to changes in the world economy. Finally, youth engaged in the border business are said to benefit from a partnership between the Cooperative Bank Foundation and the German Development Corporation to enhance the employment and business growth for 3,000 border riders. The partnership will offer the riders support in business skills, digital tools to run their businesses, and most importantly, road safety to reduce the high rate of accidents and loss of lives involving border riders across the country.
Other failed shares in Chinese ride-hailing giant Didi slammed by more than 11% in New York on Thursday. This comes after a report that regulators in Beijing are considering serious penalties for the company for data sharing allegations. This and other stories from across the globe.
Didi made its U.S. stock market debut at the end of last month, raising $4.4 billion. Just 2 days later, China's internet regulator launched an investigation into the company over how it collects user data. The penalties could include fines, suspending some operations or government investments in the company, according to Bloomberg News. Citing people familiar with the matter, the report says that the company could even be forced to remove its shares from the U.S. stock market. Meanwhile, shares in Indian food delivery app Zomato have soared by more than 80% in their stock market debut. The listing has been pushed forward by 4 days and comes as India's stock market nears all-time high. The stellar performance reflects strong investor interest in internet-based consumer startups that are expected to do well in the pandemic. Zomato's share offering last week drew bids worth $46.3 billion as it was more than 38 times oversubscribed. Finally, Twitter Incorporation on Thursday reported higher revenue growth than Wall Street had expected as the social media platform rolled out ad targeting improvements to help brands reach customers. Shares of Twitter have risen from 5% to 73% in trading after the bell. Since the start of the year, Twitter has raced to introduce products in new areas like audio-only chat rooms and newsletter publishing in an effort to turn around years of business stagnation and reach its goal of doubling annual revenue by 2023.
And back home, insurance companies have been challenged to develop products that can cater for both formal and informal sectors. Director of Pensions at the National Treasury, Michael Kagika, has said that more than 15 million people in the informal sector are not covered by any insurance product. Kenya's insurance coverage stands at less than 3% of the country's gross domestic product, which is more compared to its peers.
We are currently at 1.4 trillion in terms of assets, which is very good growth despite being a difficult year last year because of COVID. We have a well-diversified investment portfolio. We have investments in equities, in real estate, in government securities, in bonds, a little bit offshore, and so on. So we have a good investment portfolio, and we are confident that the industry will bounce back going forward.
We are at an unprecedented time of COVID. We do not know when it will go away. But what we know is we must prepare. Prepare well, prepare for eventualities so that our members do not get the effect on their retirement savings that they've done for a long time. Whether you are starting to save now or you started a long time ago or you are planning to start, so that it will cushion you if this happens.
And in sports, Wilson Kiprugut CHUMO, the first Kenyan to win an Olympic medal in 1964, has urged the Kenyan athletes competing at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics to do their best to bring medals back home. This year's games are being held in the city where CHUMO won a first gold medal for Kenya, having won the 800 meters.
Wilson Kiprugut CHUMO is an excited man as the Tokyo 2020 Olympics return 57 years later to the city he participated and won the first gold medal for Kenya.
Nilifanya kazi ile natakiwa, nilijaribu kabisa wakati huo wa sport, nilifanya ya kutosha. Nilikuwa na ulizo sawa unaonaje, unasikiaje? Ndio kwa utasikia kwa uoga, ingine ni muoga, ingine nilifanya nafanya vizuri. Kwa brave nile na itena mtu ambaye hawezi kutishwa, nasema huyu mtu anakimbia kama msiane.
83-year-old CHUMO is a retired Kenyan sprinter who competed in the 1964 and 1968 Olympics and won 2 gold medals in the 800 meters.
Usiokope, usione kama kitu ambacho kinini kwako. Mimi nilikuwa na jitahidi sana ili nilete medali.
Arriving at his Kibchebor home in Kericho County, CHUMO is excited to recount how his hard work in sports led to his big win in Tokyo in 1964. He calls on the Kenyan team who are participating in the Tokyo Olympics to work hard and keep off doping.
Katika historia yake amekuwa ni mzee mwenye ako na nidhamu, tujisikie chochote, amekuwa kielelezo na pia ni shujaa wetu. Tunajivunia kama wilaya Kericho tukiwa na shujaa. Na ningeomba hata county government iweze kupeana hiyo uwanja aitwe jina yake Wilson Kiprugut Stadium.
CHUMO received invitation by the Embassy of Japan to attend this year's Olympics in Tokyo, but could not make it due to his age.
Quite nostalgic, and let's still keep it in Japan, where the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games will officially kick off today, with the opening ceremony being held in the main Olympic Stadium, which will also host athletes and football games during the Games. About 11,000 athletes are expected for the Olympics and 4,400 for the Paralympics, which will be held in Tokyo after the Olympics.
Due to the global pandemic, the opening ceremony and the games themselves will look a little bit different compared to previous years. International fans have been banned from attending the games, and due to a recent state of emergency being declared in Tokyo, it has extended to a total ban on spectators at most of the venues. Football tournaments, however, have already begun. With the football tournament already underway, the men's matches were played yesterday, and South Africa was one of the teams that began